Tonight we're coming to you from Bendemeer, not too far out of Tamworth. We stayed last night at Foxbar Falls, which is not too far from Stanthorpe. Beautiful place. Where we are at the moment, we were going to stop at Uralla tonight, which is a beautiful little town we've been to before, but we decided to try and get a little bit further down the road as we've got to meet some people tomorrow at Ponto Falls between Wellington and Dubbo. So we found this little place called Bendemeer RV stop. I think it's a 48-hour stop, and it's at the back of the rodeo grounds. It's really beautiful. Having a nice fire. There's a little flowing creek down there, and there's amazing beautiful granite rocks, which would be fantastic. And apparently you can camp down by the river. We're camped up on the riverbank, which there's quite a few vans here. It's really lovely. There is facilities. There's a toilet. There are some tables. There's a toilet. Apparently they're nice and clean. Scott likes to try all the toilets out wherever we go, and he said these ones rate pretty good. So yeah, and actually one other good thing, there's stacks and stacks of wood around, so really you can collect firewood for your fires. Yeah, supposedly people camp down right on the water, which would be beautiful when it's a bit warmer, but it does get freezing cold here, I think. Starting to get cold now. Here's Harley, his jacket and his blanket, and under this thing, somewhere under there, is another dog. She's on 2 beds. She's got a jacket on under a blanket. That's Lucy. So we're actually at Ponto Falls, which is between Wellington and Dubbo, New South Wales. It is an amazing, beautiful campground. Here's Harley. Hey Harley. Pretty good here. You can have dogs, lots of cows. There's cow pads everywhere. Apparently they're good to burn in the fire, but I don't know if we'll be trying that at the moment because they look a bit wet. So yeah, so we're set up over here. This place has got a dump point, a long drop toilet. Lots of people down there. Harley, come here. Come here. When we arrived here, because there's, as you can see, down by the water it's packed with caravans, and apparently we've been told some people have been here. They must stay here extended times, because one lady said she'd been here at least a week and others have been here longer than that. And we were looking at trying to find, because we've got to fit 3 vans in, and we were looking at trying to fit in over here, and then realised this big tree's above us. So the joys of travelling with a dog. It's just trying to chat about where we were staying, and Harley, the big boy, decided it was a good time and place to do a poo, so now I've got to find it in amongst all those cow pads. We stayed here back in 2018, and in the morning we woke up, there was like 4 herd of cattle in our camp, so potentially that's going to happen again. Oh, excuse me while I bend over and pick this up. Oh, that stinks. Harley, hey. Yeah, beautiful place. I've also read what I was going to say before about this tree. We were nearly going to park there. A man came over to tell us that only yesterday a massive branch had come down, and with the destruction in Tassie and Victoria at the moment, God, I just don't want to risk it. So we moved into an area that's not very flat, but it's still good for the night. We're only here for the night because we're heading off tomorrow down to stay near Yass before we board for the Spirit on Sunday. So we've got a couple more stops. It's starting to get cold. It's all right. We'll have a fire. Come on, this way. So this is the motley crew that we're travelling to Tassie with. Grant, Karen. We've driven today from Ponto Falls between Dubbo and Wellington, which was a beautiful camp on the river. Where we're stopped tonight is actually at a relation's place. It's at Lade Vale, which is not too far from Yass, on the way to Gunning on the Hume Highway. Beautiful night with some nice friends by the fire. Such a beautiful night. So the next morning we packed up and left Lade Vale, headed off to Edamoga Pub. It's only actually a couple of hour drive down to Tabletop, and it's not too far from Albury-Wodonga, the border. We camped out the back of the pub out on the paddock. It was great. It's a donation if you go and have a meal at the pub. And we actually did that, had a couple of drinks, had a meal. It was really nice. And yeah, headed off the next morning to make our way to Geelong. G'day everyone, it's Jo here, sitting inside our old dunger of a caravan. But we are at Geelong Showgrounds and we stayed here last night, which is a great stopover before we board the Spirit of Tassie today. Actually, as it turned out, which is pretty cool, we're here at the same time as the Australian Working Dog Championships are on, so something really interesting to be able to watch as these dogs all round up 3 sheep and vying for the Australian New Zealand champion. Besides that, we're travelling with the 3 vans. We've got our van with our Harley our Wolfhound, my sister has her Border Collie, and our friends have got their little Maltese Shih Tzu Ruby. Now, just wanted to talk a little bit about travelling across the Spirit with a giant dog, what's considered a giant dog being a wolfhound. We've made the conscious decision, as well as the other 2 dogs that were travelling with us, that we're not putting them in the kennels. We are leaving them in our vans. Particularly the wolfhound in a kennel, it's just he's too big for it. So we've signed the necessary waivers, the paperwork, which we've printed off as they've requested, and we've ensured that we have the worming that is required by biosecurity for Tasmania when you're taking dogs in. Now, last week in Tassie, horrendous weather, so the Spirit was so bad that the Spirit actually was postponed one of the trips for the next day, and there's been a lot of destructive winds and flooding, and that also is across Victoria, and I'm not sure, but maybe New South Wales as well. But yeah, apparently the weather was meant to improve, but we just went down to Geelong to have a look around, which is actually a really lovely place. We've never been there before, being Queenslanders, and don't get down there too often, but I must say it's beautiful. But it was bloody freezing cold and the wind's blowing a gale. So we are fingers crossed that that does all settle down before we go tonight to sail on to the Spirit. The Quells and Travel Calm tablets are out in full supply. Yeah, I guess our main concern is that the dogs are all okay. Our big boy Harley will be in our van. He's used to sleeping on the bed, so he'll be very comfortable. He'll have a spill-proof water bowl. We'll feed him mid-afternoon. We won't leave him any food until we get off tomorrow. And you know what? If he pees or poos or has an accident, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We don't care. We want him to be as comfortable as he can be. Here's Harley. Hey Harley. You're getting ready for your big trip this afternoon across on the boat. Here's Harley that we're taking on the Spirit of Tassie. It's going to be a little bit hairy for him, but he's a bit of a lazy old sod, so he'll be right. So yeah, he is a a large dog. He's not like a little one, but he's going to be on our bed. Keeping him in the van. Taking him for a walk this afternoon. He's been for a big walk this morning. He'll have another one before we actually board the boat. Jeez, it's cold here. So here we are, lined up, waiting to board the Spirit. What day is it? It's Sunday. The 1st of, no, the 8th of September. I just got all my paperwork, which is the worming for Harley and the declaration that he's not going into the kennels. Got everything together. So yeah, here we are, lined up, ready to go. Well, we've made it. We're off the Spirit. It's about, I'm guessing 7 o'clock in the morning. It is an absolutely beautiful morning this morning at Devonport. How did the trip go? It was a little bit rough, to be honest. It was very rolly. We were attempting to have a couple of drinks, listen to some really good live music. It's up on deck 9 of the Spirit, and it started getting rough. We couldn't even finish our drinks. So Scott and I, we chose, I'm not really sure why, but we chose to sit in the lounge chairs, the recliner chairs, instead of a cabin. We've done that before. We've also done a cabin before, and we are going to do a cabin on the way back in a couple of months. But for those of you that have made the decision the same as we did to sit in the cabin, sit in the recliner, you'll know you don't really get any sleep. But you know what, that's okay. It was one night and we knew that that was potentially going to happen. So yeah, it was quite funny, the snoring and the noises that come out of that room. Anyway, so Harley in the back of the caravan. Now again, Harley the Wolfhound, we were a little bit concerned, not concerned, but of course he's our major worry when we're traveling. We've got to make sure everything's okay for him. One thing we did forget to do, we did the indemnity release to allow him into the car, into our own vehicle. We did all the worming, we did everything that we were required to do, but the one thing we didn't do was sign a declaration about his health. I don't know how I missed that, but somehow there's another form that you're supposed to do that we didn't do, and it's a declaration to say that they have had the worming, they've been checked for ticks, they're in good health. So yeah, if you're coming down this way with a dog, make sure, as well as your indemnity, if you want to keep them in your own car, that you do have that declaration signed to say that your dog is of good health, has been checked by the vet, and has no ticks or anything like that. There was heaps of dogs on the Spirit last night. We also noticed there was a lot of other dogs in their own caravans, and yeah, quite a few in the kennels or cages, or whatever you want to call them. But sadly, a lot of them were crying really bad and barking a lot. So, but that's a very individual choice, and for us, we chose that we'd prefer him to be in his own bed in the caravan.